There's a pattern carved into the walls of the oldest temples on Earth, in Egypt, in China, in Turkey, in Ireland, and in India. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles, by oceans, by languages that never touched. And yet they all left the same geometric imprint, the same interlocking circles, the same precise arrangement, 19 circles overlapping in perfect symmetry, forming what's now called the flower of life. And it's not decoration. It's not artistic preference. Because when the same pattern appears independently across cultures that never contacted each other, it's not coincidence. It's discovery. They weren't inventing this pattern. They were finding it, recognizing it, and marking it as something sacred, something fundamental, something worth preserving in stone so that future generations would remember what they knew. The flower of life is more than a pretty design. It's a blueprint, the geometric foundation from which all other forms emerge. Within this single pattern, you can derive every Platonic solid, every sacred geometric structure, the seed of life, the tree of life, the fruit of life, Metatron's cube, and from Metatron's cube, you can extract the 5 shapes that form the building blocks of physical matter, the tetrahedron, the cube, the octahedron, the dodecahedron, the icosahedron. These aren't arbitrary forms, they're the only 3-dimensional shapes where every face, every edge, every angle is identical. Perfect symmetry. And modern science has confirmed what the ancients encoded. Molecular structures follow these patterns. Crystals grow in these shapes. Viruses form as icosahedrons. Carbon bonds as tetrahedrons. The pattern isn't symbolic, it's structural. But here's what they're not telling you. The reason this pattern appears in every major religion, from Christianity to Buddhism to Hinduism to Islam, isn't because they borrowed from each other. It's because they all touch the same source, the same underlying truth. That reality is geometric. That creation follows pattern. That the universe is not chaos held together by invisible forces. It's order expressing itself through mathematical precision. And the flower of life is the key, the master template, the code that generates everything else. And every religion that understood this, every mystical tradition that penetrated deep enough, found the same pattern. And they marked it. They preserved it. They built temples around it. Not to worship the pattern, to remember what the pattern reveals. That form follows geometry. And geometry follows consciousness. Walk into a cathedral and you'll see it, hidden in stained glass, embedded in floor tiles, carved into columns. Walk into a Buddhist temple and it's there. Mandala paintings reflecting the same circular symmetry. Walk into a mosque and the geometric patterns adorning the walls are variations of the same principle. Interlocking circles generating infinite complexity from simple repetition. And the religions themselves, while fighting over theology, over whose God is real, over whose texts are holy, they all preserved the same geometric knowledge. Because beneath the dogma, beneath the rituals, beneath the conflicts, there was always a deeper current. A lineage of those who knew, who understood, who recognized that geometry is the language the universe speaks. And the flower of life is the first sentence. But this knowledge wasn't freely given, it was guarded, reserved for initiates, for those who proved they could handle it without corrupting it. Because geometry is power, and power, in the wrong hands, becomes a weapon. History has shown this. Sacred geometry has been used to manipulate, to control, to build structures designed not to elevate consciousness but to suppress it. Frequencies can be weaponized. Proportions can be distorted. And when the blueprint of creation is twisted, when it's used for domination instead of liberation, the results are catastrophic. So the knowledge was encoded, hidden in plain sight, available to those who had eyes to see but invisible to those who only looked at surfaces. And that's why this matters now, because the knowledge is surfacing, not because some secret society decided to reveal it. Because consciousness is rising. More people are ready. More people are asking the right questions. And when you ask the right questions, the answers appear. And the flower of life is one of those answers. It's not just a pattern, it's a key, a way of seeing reality that changes how you interact with it. Because once you understand that everything is geometry, that your thoughts organize geometrically, that your body is a geometric structure, that even your emotions follow patterns, you stop seeing yourself as separate from creation. You recognize yourself as part of the pattern, a node in the network, a circle in the flower. And that recognition shifts everything. Not because it makes you special, because it makes you aware. And awareness is the first step toward alignment. And alignment is where true power lives. The flower of life doesn't start with 19 circles. It starts with one, a single point, the void, the zero, the unmanifest potential from which all things emerge. And from that point, the first circle is drawn. This is unity, the monad, the one, the undifferentiated wholeness that contains everything but has not yet divided into form. And this is where every religion begins. Before the word, before the light, before creation, there is the one, the source, the ground of being. And the first circle represents that singularity. But creation requires division. So a second circle is drawn, overlapping the first. Same size, same radius, and where they intersect, you get the vesica piscis. The almond-shaped portal, the womb, the gateway between two states. And this shape is everywhere. It's the shape of the human eye. The fish, an ancient symbol of Christ. The vulva, the literal gateway of birth. And in mystical traditions, the vesica piscis represents the moment when one becomes two. When unity divides to know itself. When the observer separates from the observed. And that separation, that first division, is the beginning of all experience. Because without duality, there is no relationship, no perspective, no movement, just static oneness. Keep drawing circles. Each one the same size. Each one placed so its center touches the edge of another. And a pattern emerges. The seed of life. 7 circles arranged in perfect symmetry. And 7 is sacred across traditions. 7 days of creation, 7 chakras, 7 heavens, 7 directions. 7 isn't arbitrary, it's structural. It's the number of circles required to create the foundational pattern from which complexity unfolds. And from the seed of life, you continue, more circles, more overlaps, and you generate the flower of life, 19 circles, complete, balanced, self-contained. But the pattern doesn't stop there. Connect the centers of the circles with straight lines. And you get the fruit of life. 13 circles arranged in a specific configuration. And from the fruit of life, you extract Metatron's cube, named after the archangel Metatron, the scribe of God, the keeper of the Akashic records. And within Metatron's cube, all 5 Platonic solids can be found, nested within the lines, waiting to be seen. And these solids, as we discussed, are the building blocks of matter, fire, earth, air, water, ether, tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, icosahedron, dodecahedron, the elements, the shapes, the foundation of physical reality, all derived from the flower of life, all contained within the pattern. This is what they're not telling you, that the pattern isn't religious. It's pre-religious. It's the source code. And every religion that touched it interpreted it through their cultural lens. Christians saw the Trinity in the overlapping circles. Buddhists saw the interconnectedness of all beings. Hindus saw the cycle of creation, preservation, and destruction. Muslims saw the infinite complexity emerging from divine unity. And they were all correct, because the pattern contains all of it. It's not one interpretation. It's the structure from which all interpretations emerge. It's the trunk from which all branches grow. And the branches may look different, may reach in different directions, may bear different fruits. But they all come from the same root. And here's the deeper truth. The flower of life isn't just a map of external creation. It's a map of internal creation. Your consciousness organizes itself geometrically. When you have a thought, it's not a random firing of neurons. It's a pattern, a structure, and that structure follows geometric law. Your emotions aren't chaotic surges, they're waves, frequencies, oscillations that can be mapped, measured, predicted. And your body, the physical vessel you inhabit, is geometric down to the atomic level. Your cells divide in geometric patterns. Your organs arrange themselves in geometric relationships. Your DNA spirals in a double helix, which is itself a geometric form. You are the flower of life embodied, walking, breathing, experiencing, and when you recognize this, when you see that the same pattern carved into temple walls is the same pattern organizing your cells, you stop feeling separate from the sacred. You realize you are the sacred, not metaphorically, structurally. If the flower of life is so fundamental, if it's the blueprint of creation itself, why isn't it taught openly? Why isn't it in textbooks? Why do most people go their entire lives never seeing this pattern, never understanding what it represents? The answer is control. Because those who understand how reality is structured gain the ability to influence that structure. And those in power throughout history have always sought to limit access to knowledge that threatens their position. Not always maliciously, sometimes protectively, but the result is the same. The masses remain ignorant, and ignorance is easy to manage. The suppression didn't happen all at once. It happened gradually, as religions became institutions, as spiritual knowledge became religious doctrine, as direct experience was replaced by intermediaries. In the early days, mystery schools preserved this knowledge. Initiates were taught the geometric principles underlying creation. They learned how to work with pattern, with proportion, with frequency. And they were sworn to secrecy, not because the knowledge was evil, because it was powerful, and power without wisdom destroys. So the knowledge was given only to those who demonstrated readiness, who showed discipline, integrity, the ability to wield power without corrupting. But as empires rose, as religions consolidated, as political and spiritual authority merged, the knowledge became a threat. Because a population that understands how reality works is harder to control than a population that believes reality is imposed by external forces. If you understand that consciousness shapes experience, that thought influences matter, that geometry governs form, you stop looking to authorities for permission. You stop waiting for saviors. You recognize your own agency. And that recognition is dangerous to systems built on dependency. So the knowledge was encoded, hidden in symbols, embedded in architecture, passed down through secret societies, esoteric orders, mystical brotherhoods, available to those who sought it but invisible to those who didn't. And the mainstream religions, while preserving fragments of the knowledge in their art and architecture, stripped the practical understanding from their teachings. They gave you the symbol but not the key. They showed you the flower of life carved into a wall but didn't tell you what it meant. Didn't teach you how to use it. Didn't reveal that the pattern is a tool, not just a decoration. And this wasn't always intentional suppression. Sometimes it was just forgetting. As generations passed, as oral traditions were lost, as texts were burned, as lineages were broken, the knowledge faded. And what remained were shells. Forms without substance. Symbols without meaning. And people prayed in temples built on sacred geometry without understanding that the building itself was a machine. A device designed to influence consciousness. To elevate frequency. To create specific states in those who entered. But here's what's been kept from you. The suppression wasn't complete. Because geometry can't be erased. It's woven into the fabric of reality. You can hide the knowledge. You can stop teaching it. But you can't remove it from existence. The patterns are still there. In nature. In your body. In the structure of the cosmos. And once you start looking, once you train your eye to see geometry, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere. And that's the crack in the suppression. That's the opening. Because the knowledge was never truly lost. It was just buried. And now it's resurfacing. Not through institutions. Through individuals. Through those who are willing to look beyond the surface and see the pattern underneath. And that's why this matters. Because the flower of life isn't just historical curiosity. It's active knowledge. It's a tool you can use right now. To understand how energy organizes. How form emerges from pattern. How consciousness interacts with structure. And when you understand this, when you see how the pattern operates, you gain the ability to work with it. To align your thoughts geometrically. To structure your environment according to principles that support your energy. To recognize where imbalance exists and correct it. Not through force. Through alignment. Through working with the pattern instead of against it. And that's the real suppression. Not the hiding of symbols. The withholding of practical application. They showed you the pattern but didn't teach you how to use it. And now it's time to reclaim that knowledge. Not as rebellion. As remembering. Understanding the flower of life intellectually is one thing. Using it is another. Because the pattern isn't just something to admire. It's something to work with. A template you can apply to create harmony, balance, and alignment in every area of your life. And the application starts with recognition. Where is this pattern already showing up? Where is geometry governing your experience without you realizing it? And once you see it, once you become aware of the pattern operating beneath the surface, you can begin to work with it consciously instead of being unconsciously shaped by it. The first application is in space. The environment you inhabit influences your state, not just through aesthetics, through geometry. The proportions of a room affect how you feel in it. The arrangement of furniture affects how energy flows through it. And when you design space using the principles embedded in the flower of life, when you use sacred proportions, circular arrangements, geometric balance, you create environments that support elevated states instead of draining them. This is why ancient temples were built the way they were. Not for beauty, for function. They understood that geometry influences consciousness, that certain ratios open the heart, that certain shapes quiet the mind. And they used that knowledge deliberately. You don't need to build a temple. You can apply these principles to your home, your workspace, any environment you spend time in. Create circular arrangements. Use the golden ratio in your proportions. Place objects symmetrically, not rigidly, dynamically. And notice how the space feels different, how your state shifts when you enter. Because geometry isn't just visual, it's energetic, and energy follows form. So when you structure your space geometrically, you're not just organizing objects. You're organizing the field. And the field influences you always. The second application is in thought. Your mind doesn't think linearly. It thinks in networks, webs, patterns, and those patterns are geometric. When you have a realization, when multiple ideas suddenly connect, that's not random. That's geometric alignment. Different points forming a structure. And the structure reveals something that the individual points couldn't. This is why mandalas work, why mind maps work, why visual representations of ideas are often clearer than linear lists. Because they mirror how the mind actually organizes information, geometrically. So when you're trying to solve a problem, when you're trying to understand something complex, don't just think in words. Think in shapes. Draw circles. Connect points. Look for the pattern. Because the pattern is how the mind sees truth. And when you align your external process with your internal structure, insight comes faster, clearer, more complete. The third application is in creation. Whether you're building a business, writing a book, or designing a product, geometry matters. Not as decoration, as structure. The flower of life teaches that complexity emerges from simplicity through repetition. One circle becomes 2. 2 becomes 7. 7 become 19. And from 19, infinite variation. So when you're creating something, start simple. Establish the core, the seed, and then let it unfold naturally. Don't force complexity. Let complexity emerge from the repetition of simple principles. This is how nature creates. This is how the universe creates. And when you align your creative process with this pattern, your creations become more coherent, more resonant, more sustainable, because they're built on the same foundation that everything else is built on. The fourth application is in healing. Your body is geometric. And when that geometry is distorted, when proportion is off, when symmetry is broken, disease emerges, not always, but often. Because the body knows its own blueprint. And when it deviates from that blueprint, dysfunction follows. So healing, real healing, is often about restoring geometric integrity, realigning structure. And this can be done physically through body work, through movement, through practices that restore symmetry. But it can also be done energetically, by visualizing the flower of life, by meditating on the pattern, by allowing your consciousness to remember its own geometric nature. And when you do this, when you reconnect with the pattern, the body often responds. Not magically, but naturally, because you're reminding it of its original design. And the body, given the right conditions, will always move toward its blueprint, always. The fifth application is in understanding. When you start seeing reality through the lens of geometry, confusion decreases. Because you're no longer looking at random events. You're looking at patterns. And patterns, once recognized, become predictable. Not in detail, but in structure. You can't predict exactly what will happen, but you can predict the type of pattern that will emerge. And that's enough, because it allows you to navigate with clarity instead of stumbling in the dark. You recognize cycles. You see where you are in the pattern, and you adjust accordingly. And adjustment based on pattern is precision, and precision is power. There's a point where understanding the flower of life stops being about studying a pattern and starts being about recognizing that you are the pattern. That the same geometric principles carved into temple walls are the same principles organizing your cells, structuring your thoughts, guiding your breath. You're not separate from the pattern. You're an expression of it. A localized manifestation of the same infinite geometry that creates galaxies, snowflakes, and DNA. And when that recognition lands, not as a concept but as a felt truth, everything changes. Not because you gain new abilities, because you remember what you always were. Becoming the living pattern means you stop seeing yourself as separate from creation. You stop dividing reality into sacred and mundane, into spiritual and physical, into self and other, because the pattern reveals that separation is illusion. Every circle in the flower of life overlaps with others. Every form is connected. And you, as a circle in the infinite flower, are connected to everything. Not spiritually, geometrically. Your field overlaps with other fields. Your patterns intersect with other patterns. And those intersections are where relationship happens, where exchange occurs, where creation emerges. So when you see yourself as the pattern, you stop feeling isolated. You recognize that isolation is structural impossibility. You're woven into the fabric, and the fabric is alive. Becoming the pattern also means you honor geometry in your choices. You stop forcing outcomes that don't align with natural structure. You stop trying to build without foundation. You stop expecting things to grow without gestation, because the pattern teaches patience. It teaches process. It teaches that creation follows stages. First the seed, then the flower, then the fruit. And you can't skip stages. You can't rush geometry. It unfolds at its own pace. And when you align your actions with that pace, when you plant when planting is right and harvest when harvesting is right, effort becomes effective. Not because you worked harder, because you worked in rhythm with the pattern. And rhythm is law. Becoming the pattern means you see the sacred in the ordinary. You look at a tree and see the flower of life in its branches. You look at a river and see geometric flow. You look at a conversation and see two circles overlapping, creating the vesica piscis where something new is born. Everything becomes a reflection of the pattern. And reflection is recognition. And recognition is remembering. And remembering is returning home. Not to a place, to a truth. That you were never separate. That you were always part of the design. that the same intelligence creating universes is the intelligence creating you. And intelligence doesn't make mistakes. It makes patterns. And you are one of them. And finally, becoming the pattern means you protect it. Not by hoarding knowledge, by embodying it, by living in a way that reflects geometric integrity, by creating harmony instead of chaos, by building structures that serve instead of dominate, by teaching those who are ready without forcing those who aren't. Because the pattern, while indestructible, can be distorted in its expression. And distortion creates suffering. So your job, once you understand the pattern, is to be a clear expression of it. Not a perfect expression. A clear one. And clarity comes from alignment. From living in accordance with what you know. From refusing to betray the pattern even when it's easier to collapse. The flower of life appears in every religion because every religion that went deep enough touched the same source. The same truth. That reality is geometric. That creation follows pattern. That the universe is order expressing itself through infinite variation. And the pattern was preserved not as dogma. As reminder that beneath the theology, beneath the rituals, beneath the conflicts, there's a unifying structure. A shared foundation. And that foundation is accessible to anyone willing to look. Not in texts. In nature, in your body, in the space between thoughts. In the structure of a shell. In the spiral of a galaxy. It's everywhere. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you can't live as if it doesn't exist. You become the pattern. And the pattern, through you, continues to create. Not new forms. New expressions of the same eternal design. And that's not a burden. It's a gift. Because it means you're part of something infinite. Something unbroken. Something that was here before you arrived and will be here after you leave. But while you're here, while you're breathing, you get to be one of the circles. Overlapping. Intersecting. Creating. And that, more than anything religion ever taught, is what sacred means.